This is a Gilbert, and they wanted this glass fixed on here. It looks like it's going to have to be, it's mounted as it's with some soldering joints there. So we'll get that fixed up. Let's see what it looks like on the back. Nice lion's head. The case has some damage to it. Let's see what it looks like inside. I'm going to take the back off. Okay, got that off. It looks like it's got a date on there of 1909. Let's get a closer look in there. This has a paper inside. I found it. It says it was donated by Mrs. Wayne Mary Dottie in honor of her parents, Jenny and Adam Schofield. So it sounds like she donated it to the Perkins House Museum. There's no date on here when she donated it, but it is a yellowed piece of paper, and we'll send that back with it. We'll check and see how the pivots look. And we'll get this bell off so we can kind of see what the pivots look like on that back side. Look at the dust on the top of it there. Been in there a long time. They don't look too bad. This one here looks like it's worn a little bit. Check this other side here. And this one's wore out. You can see it moving along with that one there. Looks like we'll clean it up and see what it looks like, and then probably end up having to dismantle it, doing some further cleaning, and then putting some new bushings in it. Nancy said that it only runs for a couple hours and then stops. Here's a closer look at that one that's really worn there. See it wiggling back and forth. Well, let's get it out of there and take a closer look at it. Get these hands out of here. There's a pin right here that holds the hands on. A washer that needs to be coming off of there. And a couple of screws that hold the face on. The face on this is pretty worn. I'll talk to Nancy. Maybe she wants a new face put on there to kind of freshen it up. It's all up to her. Oh man, that's pretty dry and dirty looking. Yeah, as I said, it's quite dry and very dirty looking. You can take this Q-tip and just kind of run it around some of these pivots. You can see the amount of dirt. It's quite... Yeah, it needs a good cleaning. Check the pivots on the front here while it's sitting here. Let's see if I can get it any closer. So you can see this pivot here is worn out. This pivot here is worn out. See the shaft moving on it. Check the time side. And you can see that pivot there moving. That's probably what's been stopping it, is this pivot here. Let's see what the other pivots look like. Now this pivot up here is kind of dark. So it looks like I'll be putting in some, probably 5 or 6 of them. We'll get this cleaned up and get it back running and get it back over to the museum. So this was held in by 4 screws. Normally they'd be all the same size screws, but it's being held in by it's being held in by 4 different sizes of screws. So you can see there. So the first thing I'm going to do is run this through the cleaner and get some of this gunk off of it, and then we'll check those pivots again and mark the bad ones. I'll dismantle it and put some new bushings in it. We'll go from there. 1909 Gilbert. You can see the tarnishing, the green tarnishing. That's from some of the oils that they've had on it. Now they should be shiny, all these surfaces. You can see how dirty it is. Definitely time to be cleaned and serviced. Now we'll go ahead and put this in the cleaner and move forward from there. So I've degreased this just to make it a little easier to handle, and I've marked all the loose pivot points that I'll be putting bushings in. I've got the springs locked down, so we'll go ahead and dismantle it. These are going to have to be hand cleaned. Pivots are going to need to be polished, and some of them have some rust on them too. Yeah, there's still a lot of dirt on there. That probably best that it is hand cleaned. a lot of dirt. I don't know if you can see the dirt, but there's a lot there. Well, we'll go ahead and start cleaning and get some bushings in it and put it back together. So I got the mainsprings unwound. I don't think a cleaning machine would have cleaned all this gunk out of them. We'll go ahead and clean these by hand. Yeah, these have a large amount of crud on them. You can see on the Q-tip here, it's just so I've degreased these plates and I've measured and marked the bushings sizes that need to be replaced. Ended up making 5 bushings, and now I need to drive them in and then fit the pivots to them. Here's one of the bushings right here. It'll go right here on the escape wheel, and we'll drive it in there. Fits nice and flush there. So we'll do that 4 more of them, and then it will be ready to reassemble. So I've got all the new bushings on the time side, all checked for the correct end shake on each individual gear. And then test it out to see how free they run. There shouldn't be any binding. They should just spin nice and smoothly, and they do. Next step will be to do a final cleaning and then assemble it and try it out. We've got the mainsprings all hand cleaned. Next step is to wind them up on the shafts here. It's the mainspring winder. We'll get it secured in here. This has a little cog on it that'll go inside the spring in a slot. And while you're winding these, sometimes this spring will try to come out like this, so I'll always put a leather glove there to hold that. And we'll place this retainer around it a little bit more. Then go in reverse. That one's ready to place in the clock now. So I've got this assembled now, and I'm in the process of taking these hold downs off the mainsprings. That's for the chime side. The time side, I still need to take some pressure off the spring. As that tightens up, this clamp will become loose. I think that's loose now. It doesn't have any oil in it yet, but that's a good sign. It's starting to tick already. The chime, yep, it's wanting to run. Alright, we'll put it on a stand and lube it up and see how it times out. All came pretty clean. They usually do when you clean them by hand. It's actually a lot better way of doing it. Okay, I've got the regulator mechanism on there, and what that does is it raises and lowers the pendulum through this little key right here. As you turn this here, you'll see this regulator go up and down here. It's going down, and then it goes up. And the pendulum bar right here and as I turn this, you'll be able to see this pendulum shaft move up and down right in that area. Going down. That makes the clock run slower. Now it's going up. That makes the clock run faster. And one interesting thing about this regulator is it's got a date on there, patented in 1896. And that just happens to be a coincidental date because my great-great-grandfather, Cashab Davis, died on that year of 1896. He died up on Steptoe Butte in the hotel. But we'll go ahead and mount this up on a stand and get some oil on it and see how it times out. So next on this Gilbert, I'm going to need to fix the case. Looks like it's got some damage right here on the corner. Some more damage right here on this corner, and right here there's a big chunk of wood missing. Looks like something came down from the top and hit it. So I'll go ahead and get working on the case. So for the case, I've got the corners glued up and ferred out, and this piece here that had the chunk missing, I went ahead and used some epoxy and then I color matched it. So now it's just ready. I'm just going to spray this surface here, just this front edge here. Take it out in the spray booth and spray some black on it, and it should come out pretty good. So we got the case all repaired and color matched. This area here was damaged. That's been repaired. And this area here was also damaged. And also this area here had the big chunk out of it. We got the glass replaced in the face on the dial, and so time to replace that. So now that I have the case repaired, new glass on the face, and the movement has all been cleaned, it's been running for about a week now on the test stand, it's time to put it back in the clock. Okay, got the movement mounted. Now we can put the hands on it. And we'll go ahead and put this little note back in here. And we'll get the back on and so that's a 1909 Gilbert 8-day mantel clock, restored for the Perkins House Museum in Colfax, Washington.